Namaste. Today I like to say something about great politicians who are not living now. In my sweet memories come three or five names, and the first name, the first name which come to my memory is about EMS, that is EM Shankaran Namboodiripad. He is called as Yenathu Manakal Shankaran Namboodiripad. He was the first Chief Minister of Kerala. In 1956, Kerala state was formed. The reorganization of the states took place in 1956, and in 1957, EMS was elected as the first Chief Minister of Kerala. I like him much, I adore him. He was of a very simple origin. He led a life of simplicity, and he was absolutely free from corruption. These great persons gave directions to other politicians and political workers to follow through a special path, and he did a very good things, number of good things for the state. When I speak about him, I remember one thing. He stayed at Tambanur. At Tambanur, there is a place called Shantinagar. It was here that he lived for a long time. Tambanur was the birthplace of mine. So, once I was waiting for a fellow in the Trivandrum Central Railway Station. It was about 9 or 9:30 p.m. I was sitting on a bench made of rock. Suddenly, this honorable politician, accompanied by his son and another assistant, came to that side, and these bystanders safely, he was seated safely on that particular bench near me. As soon as I saw him, I recognized him. Suddenly I jumped up from that chair and bowed before him. He was a very simple man. I liked him very much. And when he passed away, there was a funeral procession conducted through the main road, and the cremation ceremony was conducted at Thaikad. In order to see his reverend body, I went and stood on the wayside. I stood there for a long time. At last, I saw the body of the beloved leader. Next, I want to say something about Mr. Kamaraj Nadar. Kamaraj Nadar, he was a great politician, and he was the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu for some time, and he was elected as the President of a national party also. He had a very humble origin. He had no sufficient school education, but he had a vast amount of knowledge, better than others. Long ago, he was serving his uncle in a shop in Chali Bazaar. Chali Bazaar, one of the great bazaars in Kerala. His uncle had a timber shop or something. As a boy, this Kamaraj Nadar assisted his uncle. He led a very simple life and he was absolutely free from corruption. Thirdly, about Abdul Kalam sir. Abdul Kalam sir, we know, everybody of us know him. He served as the President of India for some time, and before that he was a scientist in the VSSC, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center in Trivandrum. At that time, he was staying at a place called Puthanchandai in Tambanur. Puthanchandai, it is a very beautiful place filled with spirituality. There are two temples in Puthanchandai, one Gandhari Amman temple and another one is Subramania Swami temple. In the middle of these temples, there is a lane and there is a building. It was in this building that he resided for a long time. That building exists even now. So, he was a great asset to the nation. His speeches, really, it created a lot of influence in the younger minds. Wherever he go, in the schools or in the colleges, he gave valuable pieces of advice to the students. And he imparted a good amount of knowledge to the students. Among the speeches, psychology and also spirituality, everything come. And it was a great inspiration for the students. The presence of Mr. Kalam sir, it was really a great asset to everybody. Even after serving as the president of our nation, Mr. Kalam sir went to the educational institutions to teach students. He was never ashamed of doing that. He imparted knowledge to the students. He gave valuable pieces of advice to the students. He led a very simple life and he was really a model to everybody. And another important person which I want to say is about C. Achyuta Menon. He was called as Chelat Achyuta Menon. He was called by that name, I don't know. Anyhow, he was the Chief Minister of Kerala for a long time. Before that, he was doing a very high job. He was in high job, doing a high job in some other state. He was invited to Kerala and he was elected as the Chief Minister of Kerala. He was a very intelligent person, a literary man. He had a gold medalist in BA honors or something, I think so. Even after serving as the Chief Minister, he lived like an ordinary man. He used to travel in transport buses and also he was not ashamed to stand in front of ration shops for buying ration items. A Chief Minister doing like this. I read this in the newspaper. I have seen him walking through the streets of Trivandrum, coming from his native state and coming to Trivandrum in order to attend the party meetings and all. He was a very nice man, very intelligent, very humble, and also absolutely free from corruption. The other person, another important person which I have to say is about Surendranath. He was a MLA or a member of the Legislative Assembly from a particular constituency for a long time. He was a bachelor Actually speaking, I have no political affiliation or anything, irrespective of caste, creed, community, and political leanings. I am telling these things in a plain manner, with an open-mindedness. Um, he led a very simple life. When we look at him as a communist, he appears to be so. When he when we look at him as a Gandhian, he appeared to be so. When we look at him as a sannyasi, he becomes lad. He went to the Himalayas also. He had that kind of experience also. And he was a very, very efficient and simple man. And lastly, I have to say another name, which is Shankara Narayana Pillai. He was elected from Trivandrum city. Twice he won and thrice he was defeated. Anyhow, he was a peculiar man. 5 times continuously he was a member of the Legislative Assembly, and another 5 times for 5 years he was a minister in Kerala Assembly. And even after that, he just used to walk through the streets of Trivandrum and through his constituency like an ordinary pedestrian. I have seen it. Not only that, he was a member, a committee member of an Amman temple in the rural area where he lived. And he used to write receipts for the devotees who come for rituals. And he was not ashamed to do it. He considered it as a great thing. He was also absolutely free from corruption. So, these are some of the great leaders that I have come across in my life. Thank you very much.